Hi, this is Orit Esther Riter with today's Daily Dose of Emuna. So today we're going to talk about Hashem's amazing plan for every single one of us. We don't realize how important it is for us to have such Emuna in Hashem and not take for granted the thoughts that pass through our minds, the plans that we make, and we think that it's not happening the way that it should be happening. So let's listen to an amazing true story that happened 30 years ago that I just read recently in one of the Shabbat Ailonim, the Shabbat brochures that they hand out, and it's just such an amazing story. I had to share it with everyone today. So the story talks about Rabbi, his name is Rabbi the Gaon Reuven Karlinstein Zatzal. And again, this happened about 30 years ago. Now, let's understand, ladies, 30 years ago, there were no phones, there were no faxes, there were no emails, no WhatsApp, so it was a very different time, of course, than we can relate to. And it happened about 30 years ago that this particular Rav was in need of a kidney replacement and transplant. And he found his way having to move away from his family, his home, his children in Eretz Yisrael, and he had to travel to Borough Park. He found himself there quickly invited and warmly accepted by the Kehila there in Brooklyn, in Borough Park, and he was put on the waiting list in one of the hospitals to be a recipient of a new kidney when it becomes available. In fact, 2.5 years passed and nothing became available for him. And one of the amazing Rebbeim there in the Kehila decided to regularly visit the Rav and try to be a source of encouragement and keep him company throughout this period of time. At one point when time, again, became a long time, 2.5 years, where this Rav was far away and distanced from his family. Again, no WhatsApp, no phones, no readily, communication. He really was alone there. This particular Rav of the community decided to look into other options, and he found that in San Francisco there was another option for the Rav to maybe move there and become, maybe a kidney would become more available in this ongoing kidney transplant waiting list in San Francisco. And the Rav was very, very hesitant. He said, listen, I can't find myself now even more far distance, in a community where I don't even know where I'm going. I don't even know the language. I don't know English. And this Rav, with the haskama of his wife, decided that he was going to accompany the Rav and travel with him to San Francisco in the hopes of being able to receive a kidney transplant more quickly. And he jumped on, of course, the plane, and the two of them traveled. Now, the only problem was that they were going to be 6 hours in an airplane, where at that point, the wife of this amazing volunteer Rav, who was going to accompany Rabbi Karlinstein, said to the wife, please, the minute that you land, make yourself available, pick up the phone, find a phone, call me, because it could be that in those 6 hours that you're in the airplane, maybe someone's going to pass on and we'll make, we'll have kidneys available, and we don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So, of course, the volunteer Rav said, certainly, my dear, when I, come, I'll make myself find my way to a phone, right? Again, not so readily available in those days. So they landed, they got into the hotel at about 3 a.m. The Rav and the volunteer Rav were very, very tired. And he decided, you know what? It hasn't been available for 2.5 years. What's the chances? I'm just going to go to sleep and I'll call my wife in the morning. Well, not 4 hours pass, boom, 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 they get knocking on the door, and as he opens up the door, he sees appearing in front of him 2 local policemen, and they say to him, are you so-and-so? And he says, yes. He says, well, your wife has been looking for you, and she contacted us and had us track you down. You must call her immediately. And so he ends up finding a phone, picking up the phone, calling his wife, And she tells him, why didn't you call me? And he, of course, explains. And then she goes on to say, well, in those 6 hours, sure enough, there was a non-Jew who passed away, and both of his kidneys were available for transplant. There appeared to be a match with Rabbi Karlenstein, and because you didn't call, the protocol is that if after 3 hours you do not call, then they are given to the next people on the waiting list. And unfortunately, because it's been 3 hours and 15 minutes, the 2 kidneys have now been scheduled to be transplanted into 2 other recipients, 2 separate recipients from 2 other areas of the world who made the phone call and who were able to arrive in time to receive those kidneys. As he closed the phone, a big sigh. This volunteer rabbi felt so bad, he went ahead and took the Rav to the local San Francisco hospital, put him on the waiting list, and as the rabbi who was waiting for the kidney transplant looked at him, he says, what happened to you? Your face doesn't look the same. Why do you seem so down at this moment? And of course, the volunteer rabbi, went ahead and told him the whole story. And the Rav looked at him with a huge smile on his face, and he said, don't you realize today is the day that I was saved from my death? Today is the day we have to do a Su'udat Hodaya, a Thanksgiving feast and ceremony to say thank you to Hashem that He saved me from receiving that kidney, which would eventually would have led me to my demise. And the Rav, of course, the volunteer rabbi, didn't understand what he was talking about. And the Rabbi Karlenstein called his family and said, Hodu la Hashem ki tov. And they thought, oh great, he received his kidney. And he went ahead and proceeded and told the story, and they didn't quite understand what was going on. And he did in fact do a Su'udat Hodaya on that day. Well, fast forwarding 3 months later, he received his kidney in San Francisco and was Baruch Hashem, had the zchut to live an additional 30 years. So the story was told as of lately that he had passed away after 30 years of receiving this amazing kidney in San Francisco. And every year on the day of him receiving the notice that he did not receive one of those 2 kidneys of this, from this other recipient, he celebrated his Su'udat Hodaya every year, not on the day that he received the kidney, but on the day that he didn't receive that kidney that he had seemingly missed that day when he was in the air for those 6 hours, and was not. They did not reclaim or did not contact to get those kidneys. So amazingly enough, he actually decided that the best time to celebrate his Thanksgiving was not on the day that seemingly revealed to him he was saved, but on the day that he was given the news that he was saved from getting 2 kidneys. That in fact, a few months later, the volunteer rabbi went ahead and followed up on the recipients of the 2 kidneys from this one particular person who donated them to 2 separate people. They were transplanted into 2 separate bodies, and although the kidneys appeared perfect on the outside, inside, unfortunately, they were not healthy, and both recipients passed on after 6 weeks from receiving those kidneys. So the Rav, Rabbi Karlenstein, knew Emuna Shlema that if he didn't get those kidneys, it was best for him not to receive those kidneys. What an act of Emuna. What an Emuna-filled being, knowing that God's plan, Hashem's plan, ends up being the best plan ever. Even though we don't see it, even though we may not notice it, it really is an act of revealed good. And so, Be'ezrat Hashem, we should live our lives with such an amazing feeling of knowing the hashgacha, the supervision, the divine providence of a father and Abba that loves us so much. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, this should give us koach for today and for many, many days to come, to have Emuna, complete Emuna in Hashem, in His beautiful ways and His godly love. Make it a wonderful Emuna-filled day.